Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Samantha. I'm a homeschooling mom to 5 kiddos, 4 of those kids that I homeschool. And in today's video, I have my last curriculum picks to share with you guys. And this is for my little guy who is going into the first grade. A lot of the things that he did for kinder were actually kind of kinder first, and so we're just continuing on with what we were doing and adding in some new things because with the Charlotte Mason method on both Ambleside and Alveary, it starts in grade 1, so that is what we are adding in for him this year. And everything else that he's doing, he's just continuing with his math and his reading program that he was already doing. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the curriculum picks for my first grader for the homeschool year 2025-26. So let's go ahead and start with the books that I have, because everything else for him that comes from the Alveary is all in one binder. Okay, so first and foremost, we are going to continue working through Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons. This started off very slowly for us. Initially, I didn't think that I was going to like this book, so I actually had bought another program and we started that, and that one didn't work like I thought it would, and so this is the one that we ended up gravitating towards, and it's been working out really well for us. But for him, when we first started, every lesson was too much. So in the beginning, each task was a lesson, and if you've seen how this book works, you get your whole lesson here, and then it's broken up into tasks that you do over the course of that lesson. And it was just a little much for him in the beginning to do a full lesson in one sitting. So we started off doing it one task per day as his lesson. And then towards the end of the school year, we were actually getting through full lessons. So I don't know that we will end up finishing this book out all the way. But we are going to keep working in it and on it, because he's starting to see a lot of success with this, and he has been more willing to sit down and do it now that he's really catching on. And I think a lot of that sometimes has to do with age and readiness as well. So yeah, it's just going much better, so we will continue on with that. He takes really well to math. For him, so I initially was going to start him with Math with Confidence, just because we had done Gentle and Classical preschool, and then we were doing Gentle and Classical primer, and the math concepts that she uses in those comes from the Math with Confidence series. And he had started off with the preschool book, and then I bought the K book, and we just never really started it. And I had everything ready. I had the books. I had this whole, I had bought a manipulative kit that had almost everything that he needed in there, and I just bought the other things that he needed, and I added it to it. So I was really prepared, but it was just a lot, and that wasn't really the style that he wanted, or that was working well for him. So I was looking for another math, and when that happened, I got onto the beta testing for Gather Round Homeschool's math. And so we started with him on the Gather Round Homeschool foundations. And yeah, we are just going to continue working through the ones that we have, and we've enjoyed it. It's worked really fine. You go in and it's straightforward. It's worked really well. We don't have any complaints about it, because as beta testers, when we're going through this, anything that we see that's wrong, we just, share it with the company, and it's being worked on before they release the units out to the public. So it's been great. We like the structure and the layout. I think cost-wise, it's just not very economical. And so we'll see how it looks, and if we will continue to stick it out with this, or if we're going to switch him to another math. I have been looking into, my oldest son is doing a curriculum from Generations Homeschool, a worldview curriculum. And when I was on there, I noticed that they've had history and science for a while, but I also noticed that they're starting to release math for the younger grades. and he would fit right in there. I could start him off likely based off what I saw in Math 1. And so that's one that I'm looking at considering switching to after he finishes all of his modules from Gather Round Homeschool. But that's math that we are starting with. Okay, and so the next thing that we have for him is the Learning to Read from Christian Light Education. This is book 3, so he still has book 3 to 10 to get through. We did not start this until really, really late into the school year, and he only got through the first 2 books. So we kind of focused on Teach Your Child to Read for most of the school year. And then once he started getting more confident with that, we then added in Learning to Read. The other thing that we did were these this Learning to Code set. I had actually gotten him this for, I think, preschool. I can't remember, but we never got to it. So we did these. And because he had way more confidence in these, because these, especially the ABC, we're getting set for the code, are much easier. And so these he was able to go through and have confidence. And then we would do Teach Your Child to Read. So that's what we did. And when he was done with these and he was moving better in Teach Your Child to Read, then we started on Learning to Read. So that's why he still has so much left to do these. And these are also technically first grade. So I don't feel bad that he's going to be finishing this out in first grade. It's exactly where he is at and where he should be. So that's totally good. But yes, so that's Learning to Read. And I did, when I got the Alveary, they actually have a full reading program that is included with their lesson plans. So for him, instead of doing spirals, I just did a big binder, and this is where I have all of his Alveary subjects. So I went ahead and I printed out their reading level 1, and this is because it's going to continue for, I think, 2 or 3, maybe 2nd and 3rd grade. It continues, and so when he finishes Learning to Read, which I think because he really started to go through those quickly, I think he'll start going through the rest of them quite quickly as well. We will start doing this. So we'll either add this in and take out Learning to Read when he's done with that, or add this and take out Teach Your Child to Read. I haven't quite decided, but since it was available, I wanted to print it out and see how that would go. And this, with this, they also, if you're interested in getting, because you can get Alveary subjects by themselves. They call it like Alveary a la carte instead of paying for the entire program. Even though I think the entire program is worth it. It's one cost and you can get all of your kids' curriculum, and some of these subjects by themselves are worth the cost in my opinion. But if you decide that you want to do the reading, they do provide you with files for flashcards that go with the reading. And you would just print these out. You just print these out on like business cards, and then I laminated them. So with Learning to Read, we do have all of the flashcards that go with that. He loves flashcards. He's a flashcard kid. So I went ahead and got all of those prepped just in case we do end up doing this. I don't want to overdo the reading, but so we have the reading for him. And then another subject that he's got. And then the next subject that he has is Bible. So just like all of my other kids, he will be doing Bible with Alveary, and it's Bible stories and church history. The only thing is the specific they recommend a specific storybook Bible to go with it. And I didn't order that because I have so many different storybook Bible variations already. And I'm pretty sure one of the ones that I have will work just fine with this without using the one that they specifically were asking for us to get. So that's reading. And then we have poetry. So that's his poetry there, just like my other kiddos. He's got his, and then we've got his literature lesson plans, and these are going to include fairy tales, tall tales, and fables, and then read alouds, which for him, everything's really a read aloud, but that's sort of like picking read-alouds for the whole family, which I'll pick one from his age and then a couple from my older kids. And then he's got his recitation here. And he will be doing history with the Alveary. There's that. And I went ahead and did that because I actually have a few of the books that were needed for history on my bookshelf, so that worked out nicely. He's got geography with the Alveary. And then last but not least, he will be doing science with the Alveary. And this has general science, natural history, nature notebook, and then nature walks and scouting. And like I mentioned before, especially for him, we call him our little nature boy, our little feral boy, because he will be outside digging around like a little archaeologist and just having a good old time with friends, by himself. It does not matter. He loves to be outside. So yeah, those are all of his subjects. So the bulk of his subjects is the Alveary, and then we just add in math and technically reading, but we can also just do reading with the Alveary. So since I have so much less for him, I wanted to go ahead and share with you guys the books that are going to tie in all of his Alveary together. I also have his schedule here, and I can do a whole video on schedules and things like that for all of my kids. I figured I'd go ahead and share with you real quickly since I have his here with me. All of my kids, every single one of them has a schedule that looks like this, their independent daily schedule, and then it's blocked out by what they do every day of the week. And then on my older kids, on the older kids schedule, there's another block here that tells them the amount of time that they're going to spend on each subject. So for him, he's got the other thing. They have our Alveary has like an Our Works PDF. You can purchase a printed version of this notebook, but in this Our Works bundle PDF thing, it has all of the year's pictures for picture study, their recitation. So it takes Bible verses, poetry, excerpts from their readings, and different things like that, and it breaks it all down into term 1, term 2, term 3, and stuff that they can study for recitation, dictation, copywork, and all of those things. So every one of my kids has a little spot here every day to just go through that binder and work on doing their picture study, or being able to work on what it is that they want to memorize for recitation or things like that. So he's got Bible, his Our Works time, math, learning to read, and then later on in the schedule will be all of his Alveary subjects. And I put this together based on the Alveary. They have scheduling tools and calendar tools and all those kinds of things. And they also help you out with knowing how much time you need to give your kids for each subject, but also how many times out of the week they're doing each subject or each topic. So that's what I do. And then I save the, and then from Ambleside, I save the list, and then I make edits. So I will just take out all of the things that are on the book list that my kids are not doing, and only save the ones on there that they are doing. And then they all use this, however. So this will mostly be taken care of by me. And my daughter this year my daughter that's in the 8th grade. We actually just started our school year, so I'm a little late getting his video up, but our school year just started this week. So what she has done on hers is she has gone through and like made a little key with highlighter, and she knows what she's reading, and so whatever she's reading per day gets that highlight. So she's went and color coded it, and so she knows, because it'll have week 1 here. So here's week 1. And then so she knows, like, okay, this is what I'm reading Monday, this is Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And because she's got so many more books that she's reading, she can go through and highlight which books in week 1 go with which day according to her color. So that's how she's breaking that down. I think my other 2 also started doing that after they saw her do it, but his is pretty simple, so don't need to do that. Okay, I have this bin. with all of his books. So let's go ahead and go through this bin and see what he's got on his schedule for term 1. And some of these, like I've mentioned in other videos, will be only for term 1. Some are some of the longer books, like some of the Bible story books and treasury books and things like that. He's going to read out of the whole year. For Ambleside, it looks like I have him doing, I really like, if you guys have not seen the Trial and Triumph book, it is put out by Canon Press. It is very good. It goes for quite a few years. They only read a handful of stories. So it's Christian heroes in the faith and martyrs. And they'll read a certain amount of stories every term. And it goes until, I think, year 7. So they're in that book for a really long time. But he'll do some stories from 50 Famous Stories, Trial and Triumph, Burgess Bird Book, James Herriot's Treasury, Aesop Fables, Parables of Nature, Just So Stories, and Blue Fairy Book. And then also some poems from Child's Garden Verses, which I have the Kindle version of that. So we may do a poem out of there, we may not. It just depends, because I do have poetry with the Alveary. Oh, one of the other things, I found this at a book resale shop, and so he'll be getting into this as well. Like if we're out and about, or if I want him to do something a little bit different from the learning to read or something like that, we can always work in this little handbook. Or, you know, I've heard such great things about it that we could always just switch to this. Yeah, so I was just really excited to find that. Oh, I forgot to mention, another thing that we're going to be doing for science with him, if we do any of our, so I actually have quite a few of the Good and Beautiful Sciences that we still need to get through. So I did purchase him the activity books that go with those. I don't know that we'll have time to get through any of those this year, but these are good for K through 2nd grade. So even if we don't get to them by then, I can pass them on to my daughter. And I really do want to get through some of these sciences. So I don't know. We'll see. If there's time, we'll do those. But him and I are going to be doing the Science for Little Hearts and Hands. I almost forgot about this because it was in his book, in his reader bin. But this is another curriculum that we're doing. So for a little fun science for him, we're just going to do Science for Little Hearts and Hands, Bones and Stones. And so he is, you know, he thinks he's a little paleontologist. He loves dinosaurs. Like I said, he loves digging around outside. So I figured doing that with him would be something fun, especially since most of his other science with Alveary is reading. I think there will be time to add that on. Okay, so we have, let's see. Okay, so it doesn't look like I separated out his stuff by term. So these are just a combination of all of the books that he has this year. So we'll start with this one. This is Down Comes the Rain, What Makes Day and Night. We have Frozen Land, Vanishing Cultures. For geography, we have Elementary Geography. This is by Charlotte Mason. For history, The Very First Americans. So this is Over and Under the Pond. He'll be doing this with Alveary at some point. This is in term 1. For science, it's the Christian Liberty Nature Reader, book 1. Here's that Just So Stories that goes with Ambleside. Parables from Nature. And then we have Me on the Map. This also goes with geography. Okay, so we also have, I have this really nice old copy of the Blue Fairy book. And we've actually already done some readings out of here. And I have it on Audible, so we have some that we've done in there also, which is the only reason why I kept it as a part of his, why I kept it from Ambleside, is because we already do a lot of readings out of there anyway. We do some, this isn't on either, actually this is I think on the Alveary, but we've also done some out of here already. This is Fairy Tales of Brothers Grimm. I have the Burgess Bird book for children. And then we have Aesop's Fables. I have the James Herriot's Treasury for Children, and this is one of those finds that I got at one of the library book sales. Actually, so is the Blue Fairy book. A lot of my like used old books come from those library book sales. Okay, so we have Around the World in 80 Tales. That's on Alveary. And then this one we've just been very slowly going through. It's kind of like a storybook Bible, but this is one that I have. And then I have read aloud Bible stories that I also have that I can read to him. But this is Theology, Ancient Truths Ever New. And this is really good. I really love the illustrations in here as well. And then I did go ahead and whenever I was buying him this science unit, I was very tempted to get him language arts. Oh, I have one more book. Bat Loves the Night, and that's all I have in here. So again, some of these are just term 1, some are all of the terms, some go to other terms. But as the year goes on, if I'm doing any sort of updates or anything like that for term 2 or 3, I'll be sure to let you guys know what he's doing in those terms. But back to what I was saying, when I was on The Good and the Beautiful buying this, I was very tempted to get him their math and their language arts. And I ended up, telling myself I'm not getting the math because I still had my girls, and I looked back through it and I remembered why they didn't like it and why I didn't like it as well. And so I was just quickly turned away from their math. However, we always really did enjoy their language arts, all the lessons that all my kids did. And so I thought about getting it. And in the end, I didn't, because we already have, he'll be doing copy work with Alveary. He'll be doing all of these different things already. And, I have the reading programs. So I talked myself out of purchasing it. But what I did do is I did print it and bind it myself just in case we wanted to try it, so that I wasn't, because I don't know, just in case it's something that we end up deciding to try out. I went ahead with Level K. He did The Good and the Beautiful's preschool, but he didn't do their kindergarten prep. And while he's done, he did Christian Light's Kindergarten 2, and he's been doing Learning to Read, and he's been doing some of those things. Grammar and writing wise is ready for the K. Because I will say, when it comes to The Good and the Beautiful, like, the reading and the writing are, for my kids especially, like, this was the case with my daughter, who's now in 6th grade. She was always in a level below her grade, just because I think for her, there was a disconnect between her reading and her writing ability. And that's kind of the case for him, is like, his reading is, taking off, but we've not done a whole lot of writing with him. So he really, I think, would benefit from their language arts as far as the writing and grammar and spelling and things like that. So I printed it out, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see. I have it just in case we do it. And it's such a big file. I don't know how they actually fit these into one spiral, but I had to make 2. So this is the first half that we can go through, and then this is the second half. Like I said, I don't know for sure that we'll use it, but for writing purposes, I think it would be good for him if we did it. So we'll see. It's there. That's something that we have. But yeah, with that being said, that is everything that I have for my son, who is going to be, or who is in 1st grade now. It's so crazy to me because I have my little 2-year-old, my daughter, who is, she gets into everything and she wants her own school. And this is exactly where my son was when we first started homeschooling. And I was trying to figure out how to keep my 2-year-old entertained back then. And now I'm in that same spot of trying to teach a new reader and writer while having a 2-year-old in tow and trying to keep her entertained. So it's always fun in a homeschool life with a large family. But I would not have it any other way. If you guys enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a like. If you have any questions or if you're curious about something that I didn't mention, because as you guys know, I probably did forget something, just put those questions, comments, anything down in the comments below and let me know. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!